every year we have a cooperation meeting from Japan and Korea and Taiwan. And so I start from Professor Suzuki. So I'd like to read this brief introduction to Takao Suzuki. And because we are working together to try to initiate Taiwan-Japan cooperation, especially for the dementia prevention. And we'd like to learn from Japan. So I would like to read this briefly introduction. On this line. Okay. Takao Suzuki is currently the Director of Research Institute, National Center for Geriatrics and Gerontology, OCD IG Prefectures. He's also the Basic Professor of Graduate School of Medical Science, Shinsu University. He graduated from the Medical College, Sapporo Medical University, and obtained his medical doctorate in 1976, and later acquired his PhD at Graduate School of National Science at the University of Tokyo in 1981. Dr. Suzuki has been working as a head of Department of Epidemiology 1990 to 2000, and also as a Vice Director 2000 to 2008 of the Tokyo Metropolitan Institute of Gerontology. He was appointed as a Director of Research Institute NCGG in 2009. He has published more than 200 peer-reviewed international papers and served as the editorial members of several domestic international journals, including Geriatrics and Gerontology International. He has been the chairs of some national committees related to the long-term care insurance in Japan, particularly effective strategy for prevention of long-term care stay in elderly living in community. He has also attempted for many years of accumulating the evidence-based effective measures for the prevention of geriatric syndromes such as falls, incontinence, foot and walking problems, undernutrition related to the insufficiency of serum vitamin D, sarcopenia, and mild cognitive impairment as an early stage of dementia, all of which have negative influence on the health status and quality of life among the elderly people. So let's welcome Professor Suzuki to give a talk.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And first, I'd like to express my sincere thanks to Professor Chen and it's my great pleasure to be here. And also, it's my great pleasure to have a talk on the dementia, particularly in community-based dementia in Japan. And I'd like to introduce what's going on this topic in Japan. So today's title is a randomized controlled trial for the prevention of dementia in MCI elderly in the community. And you may know that there are many scientific evidence level. So today our research target is always elderly people who are suffering with MCI and have a high risk for the transformation to the Alzheimer's diseases. So today, I would like to talk about a recent randomized controlled trial for the MCI elderly people living in the community with the intervention study. Particularly, exercise intervention is our main focus on purpose. First, I will explain this slide. And this slide shows the prevalence of dementia. And as you can see, these data are coming from the European base. and the prevalence of dementia increased suddenly after the age 80 and over. And so we can say the dementia, particularly Alzheimer's disease, Alzheimer's disease is just the disease with the aging. Unfortunately, maybe the young old people with age 65 to 74, the prevalence of dementia is much lower. But in the old people with age 75 and over, the prevalence of dementia increased suddenly. This is European-based data, and this data is recent data from a national survey in Japan conducted in 2011. And these data show almost the same figure with the European base. And this national survey conducted, and the data collection coming from the 6 area in Japan with the random sample of the community elders. And the total number examined is more than 15,000 elderly people with age 65 and over. And you can see that the young old group with age 65 and 74, the prevalence of dementia is less than 10%, maybe 7% or 6% or 7%. But after the old age group, age with 75 and over, the prevalence increased very sharply, as well as seen as in European base. And the average of the prevalence of the dementia from this national survey conducted in 2011 in Japan is about 15%. That means 15% of the elderly people are suffering from the dementia in Japan. And also, almost the same number is suffering from MCI. So when we combine these figures, about 30% of the elderly people are suffering from either MCI or dementia. And also, as I showed you in this slide, the prevalence of dementia is increased in the old age group. And from now, Japan is becomes a super-aged society, not aged society. Super-aged society means the proportion of the young old people and old people becomes much more shifted to the old people. Today in Japan, the proportion of young old and old is almost 1 to 1. Okay? But 20 years later, around 2030, 2035, this proportion shifted to 1 to 2. 1 young old people and 2 old people. And 40 years and 45 years later, the projection told us that the proportion shifts to 1 to 3. Incredible, right? So, according to the increase of the number and the proportion of old people, as you can see, the dementia will increase sharply. Even today, the 30% are suffering from MCI or Alzheimer's or dementia. But maybe after the 2030, maybe about 40% will be suffering about such a dementia or early stage of dementia. So today, the Japanese government shifted to their policy from the care of the demented person, but to the prevention of dementia itself. So we have many research trials how to prevent dementia. And particularly, we are focusing on the prevention of the decline of cognitive function among the elderly people who are suffering MCI, not dementia, because the clinical diagnosis dementia means that the condition is not reversible. But MCI people is much more reversible. Some people shifted to the dementia, but some people return to the normal stage. So MCI, the finding or detecting the MCI people living in the community is a very important issue today for us, for the viewpoint of the prevention of dementia. Okay, and as you know, this is the compilation of a brain image of the normal condition and Alzheimer's diseases. Maybe you know that the Alzheimer's disease is characterized a very serious atrophy of the substances of the brain. And particularly when you compare these normal and Alzheimer's diseases, you can easily find these Alzheimer's diseases show very, very serious atrophy, severe atrophy and disappearance of the subsistence of the brain. Particularly here, we can call this area hippocampus. And in advanced Alzheimer's disease patients, there's nothing of the hippocampus, because hippocampus is thought to be a storage part of the memory. So hippocampus, we have a very good memory because we have a very healthy hippocampus. But if the hippocampus is gone away like this in Alzheimer's diseases, you can never recall anything. Okay. So if we have diagnosed as an Alzheimer's disease, it's irreversible and it's no more for the prevention. It's no longer the target of the prevention. It's just the target for the care. Okay, and this is a natural progress or natural history course of an Alzheimer's diseases, and also the indicators of Alzheimer's diseases. And as you know, it takes a very long time to be dementia, particularly diagnosed as Alzheimer's in a clinical phase. It takes more than 20 years for this process before the diagnosis of Alzheimer's diseases. What happened in the first? It's an abnormal protein, so-called amyloid beta protein. It is accumulated in our brain. But in this stage, of course, we can find he or she is, having such a storage of abnormal storage of the amyloid beta or not. They looks like a much more very healthy. But when in the advance of accumulation of abnormal amyloid beta, then the function of synapse, it's a connection of nerve connection, show the dysfunctions gradually. And then this accumulation of amyloid beta change to tau protein in the brain. But we can see that directly these changes in the brain. But these stages you can find by FDG PET or functional MRI, or how about the tau proteins. When we take the central spinal fluid, then we can detect a very abnormal proteins in CSF. And also the brain atrophy started in the later half of this process. And in this period, we can find the abnormal atrophy of the brain by a volumetric MRI. And then the next stage is just before the dementia, so-called MCI, mild cognitive impairment. And in this stage, some people suffering of MCI show the decline of the cognitive functions. But usually they look like normal, and their daily functions such as instrumental ADL still keeps very well. And family member usually don't know he or she is in the stage of MCI. So MCI is very critical and what can I say? But anyway, MCI is a very important stage for the transformation to dementia. And fortunately, today, many test batteries and many clinical tests or many psychological tests or brain image show that we can detect a very slight change of MCI today. So it's a very good opportunity for us to have a prevention strategy for the MCI people, particularly living in the community. This slide shows the some risk factors of Alzheimer's diseases or the decline of cognitive function. It's just an observational study, and this study is coming from NILS LSA. NILS LSA, sorry, reading in Japanese. NILS LSA is one of the characteristic and very important aging research conducted in our institute, National Institute for Genetic Surgery and Oncology. And this is a very longitudinal study. We have now started about 2011 or no, and then the 14 years, 15 years, we follow up the participants. This is the cohort study of the aging, but this is just observational study, not intervention study. But from this longitudinal study, we can find many risk factors for the decline of cognitive function, or the change of the volume of the brain by brain images. For example, this data show that from the nutritional point of view, in the middle age, if the person takes the 60 gram protein per day and also less than 60 gram per day and also less than 50 milligram per day with vitamin C, while comparing with the person who takes the protein more than 150 grams per day and also a vitamin C more than 1,000 milligram per day, the risk of the decline of the cognitive function measured by MMSE is very different and significantly differences with aging. So you can see these poor nutritional people are having much more increased risk for the decline of cognitive function when comparing with the high-rich persons, nutritionally high-rich persons, comparing with these two. And also, this data show from this observational aging study that it's a relationship with the step number of the day and the atrophy of the brain measured by our functional it's MRI. So this is the reference data. The person with the step number per day less than 6,000 is as a reference. Then if the person walks more than 10,000 with step number per day, show the risk reduction about 30% for the decline, for the atrophy of the brain. So from these observational data, there are many risk factors for the decline of cognitive function or the dementia. But these are just an observational study, so we need the intervention study as a next step. And also, I'd like to show you some biological marker which we have a lot of concern. Is BDNF, that brain developing nutritional factors, because from the observational study, as I told you, the nutritional status is very important risks or the preventive factors for the dementia. So we have concern about the BDNF and exercise. And there are many data, if from the animal experimental view or human research. And anyway, if the animal or person who have a very good exercise, then the BDNF increase very much, which is the preventive factor for the dementia. And this is very famous research conducted by Professor Erickson. And he has a randomized control trial, and the exercise group and control group show that the BDNF in the hippocampus has finally a very different stage, significantly different. That means if the exercise group showed much more increase of the BDNF, but in the control group, decline of the BDNF in the hippocampus. So also animal studies show the relationship between the BDNF expression in the hippocampus and exercise, and also this randomized human studies. So these data that the BDNF is one of a very excellent biomarker for the dementia. So next, I'm going to introduce you our recent trial, that randomized control trial for the exercise intervention for the prevention of dementia among the elderly people with MCI living in the community. And this is the first trial. Now we are the second trial, we are now conducting. And this is the first trial, and already finished. And at first, 1,500 individuals with age 65 and over are screened. And there are exclusion criteria. There are too many. And at first we measured these cognitive function by CDR or MMSE and etc. So most of them has no memory complaints. And some people show the CDR equals 0 or 100 people CDR is already 1 to 3. That means the elimination. So these people are excluded, and 135 individuals screened the second stage with the MRI scan. And in this second screening, 35 elderly persons are excluded by refusal to participate or other reasons. And finally, just 100 patients with MCI remains, and we have informed consent here. And among these 100 participants, 50% are amnestic MCI, diagnosed as amnestic MCI. And the other 50 elderly person normal, just an MCI in the amnestic state. And maybe you know the amnestic MCI is much more serious MCI condition. Amnestic MCI elderly people are very, very high comparing with simple MCI elderly people to transfer to the Alzheimer's diseases. So amnestic elderly people are much more a serious target for the prevention, as you can say. But anyway, we can randomize in each groups randomly to the exercise control intervention group and control group. And also 50 simple MCI participants also divided into 2 groups randomly. One is the exercise intervention group and control group. So totally 50 elderly people are allocated to the intervention, exercise intervention group. And the other 50 groups are just control groups. And this intervention continued about 1 year. And we measured about just 6 months later and 12 months later. We have examined twice. And of course, you know, in each group, some people are dropout. So we have to, of course, we had intention to treat analysis in this trial. So this is a major flow of this screening for the prevention of dementia. And this is the first screening. In a cognitive assessment, we use the iPad. And we combine many previous and verified assessment of the cognitive function in the iPad. And using the iPad, we assessed the very basic cognitive function like this. And also, we measured assessment. We had to assess the physical functions, normal walking speed or the top walking speed, and also grip strength and balance test, and also. And then, as I showed in the previous slide, next stage screening, we had new imaging with the FDG PET and MRI examination, and also NIRS examination. And from these screening tools, we finally diagnosed as MCI, and also normal people, and also demented persons. And our target is just MCI people. And this is the intervention flow, and in a previous trial, we have just an exercise intervention like this. And in the second stage, we have also the exercise intervention and some brain stimulating, such as a music class or dancing class. We now conduct it at present in Nagoya City. And this is using the iPad and mini MMSE or trail making test and digital simple coding and logical memory test, what we call from test mental. So these established tools for the screening of cognitive function is just combined in iPad. And like this, in an interview style, we measure the cognitive functions of the participants. And also, not only iPad, but usually Alzheimer's Disease Association score, or Wechsler's memory scale, or raised complex figures, and making tests. These tests we measure by interview style. And also, demographic variables too, and physical activities, and psychological items, and geriatric depression skill, GBS, and QOL measured by SF8. And biomarker, as I told you, BDNF and hemoglobin A1C, because recently, as you know, the Alzheimer's disease and the diabetes has a very close relationship than what we expected before. So we now to detect the exact relationship between diabetes and cognitive functions. So we took hemoglobin A1C as one of the biomarkers. And also this is the physical performance test which we examined in this project. Muscle strength and grip strength and knee extension power also we measure. Balance test, one leg standing, slope standing test. And also gauge speed, 6 minutes walk distance, and acceleration analysis. And also reaction time similar to your task we have measured. This is the brain imaging. As I told you, MRI, FDG PET, and news, these data are combined. And finally, the clinicians, neurologists, finally diagnosed that he or she has MCI or not. And this is the intervention method. And this is the multi-component exercise program for MCI. And this is just the first stage of exercise intervention with the stretch and muscle strength. It's very usual style. And also aerobic exercise is recommended, and actually we asked to do the aerobic exercise with us. And this is very characteristic exercise for MCI. And this is just a dual task or triple task exercise. For example, dual task means the step, on the outside line, but always thinking about the calculation. At first, 100 minus 7, and then the 93 minus 9, and 93 minus 9. So the English is very difficult. 88, yes, thank you very much. 84 minus 7, and then minus 9 minus 7 minus 9 minus 7 minus 9. Please do it. Very well. It's a very good exercise. So, and also, in Japan we have about 50 provinces or prefectures, and in each prefecture has a the capital, right? So from the north to the south, for example, the lowest prefecture is Hokkaido, and Sapporo is the capital of Hokkaido. So talking about these questions, what is the capital of Hokkaido? But always working carefully. So these are the dual task or triple task. That means the dual task or triple task exercise. And also after these class, they had communications with each other and the homeworks for the next sessions or like that. And, most of them are published already this year. The plus one in April of this year. So you can exactly result of this randomized control trial. For example, the MMSC blue line is the exercise intervention group, and red line means the control group. Just they had health education twice or 3 times during the intervention period. And for example, the MMSC score show that the intervention group still maintain their MMSC score of 27. But on the other hand, the control groups decline the score of MMSC from 27 to 25, and finally these two has a significant differences between these two groups. And this is a Wechsler memory scale story, and show that the exercise intervention group increase their good ability for the Wechsler memory scale, but control group still lower. And this is the word frequency test. The word frequency test is also show that the intervention group has a very good effects, but in a control group has adverse effects. And this is also very important findings of a randomized control trial. It's a degree of atrophy in the whole brain cortices. And you can see that this is a degree of atrophy. So the percentage, and this is a percentage. So when we look at the result, the exercise intervention group show that the slight decline of the atrophy, or not so significant change, but in a control group showed that the increase of the atrophy. And these two groups, has finally significant differences on the degree of atrophy measured by MRI like this. So, particularly, the amnestic MCI patients, we divided into the amnestic and simple MCI group, as I told you. And as a result, the MCI patients exhibit a significantly better MMSC or logical memory score and word frequency test, and also volumetric MRI, the multi-component exercise program reduced the degree of atrophy in exercise group. So this is very positive data we could find in our randomized control trial. Okay, so this is the very brief conclusions of my recent trials. So multi-component exercise may lead to maintain cognitive functions in MCI elderly people living in the community, particularly in amnestic MCI people. For the amnestic MCI people, such as exercise intervention is beneficial for the prevention for the transformation to dementia. And such a non-pharmacological intervention mainly by exercise intervention or based on comprehensive geriatric assessment may play an important role to the prevention of dementia in the community. So as I said before, this is our first trial or preliminary trial in a community-based prevention of the decline of cognitive function among the MCI elderly people. But we are now carrying out much more large-scale screening. The participants, the number of participants is more than 7,000 elderly people with age 65 and over. And we are now just in the process. And we have finished about 3,000 elderly people. So we have to do the screening for more than 4,000 elderly people from now. And next fiscal year, that means the next April, we start much more large-scale intervention trial for the MCI people. Not only exercise intervention, but also the learning intervention, or such as a music class using the percussion and drums. And many people, MCI people, are gathered in the class, and they enjoy the drum musical drum, drumming. And many observational studies show that such a musical amusement and dancing is a major preventive factor for the dementia in the Western countries, but there is no evidence in the Asian countries. So this is our next target, is not only exercise but also such a music or learning intervention is really effective for the prevention for the dementia or not. It's just now going on this purpose. So if you have interest, please always, anytime, come to Naoya. So, and when you come to the Naoya, one of the Naoya Castle, then you can enjoy the peace of beauties. Thank you very much for your
I see your trial, and among those 100, you divide into 2 groups. But it is so wonderful that this continued person or percentage is so low. So how you can have that, and what is your incentive?
Okay, yes, such an sort of motivation for the participation is a very important factor. And yes, we have many services to come to the intervention class during half a year or almost 1 year. So when it rains, we have a car services. Car service. Shuttle service. Yeah, and also, but many people finally, can enjoy to come to the class, to have an exercise, and also have a communication each other. It's one of the major factors to keep the number very well. And we have a minimum dropout rate in this trial.
The first one is regarding the multiple component exercise. I noticed that you have aerobic exercise, stretch exercise, and task exercise, but you do not have resistance exercise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because as I know, resistance exercise is always equipment dependent. Sometimes you have a safety concern, right? So is it the reason you don't integrate the resistance exercise into the program? This is the question number one. And that means to bring me to number two question. Because as I know, you like to swim. You say yourself you are a swimming user. Okay. But as I know, swimming does not prevent osteoporosis. Okay. So in my opinion, if exercise is medicine, so maybe we need to integrate medicine. Because just like cocktail therapy for AIDS patient, maybe we need a resistant exercise or big exercise, and a whole package for the elderly. Because if we want to intervene, we want to provide him a whole package for this elderly's health, for their overall well-being. Maybe we do not want to, prevent the dementia problem only. Maybe we would like to, add the some kind of mission, just like for prevention, okay, for their bone density, and etc. etc. Two questions.
The combination of many various types of the exercise, not for prevention of the dementia, but also prevention of the osteoporosis or other musculoskeletal function is okay. So finally, when we have a population approach, the prevention of geriatric syndrome, our final goal is not the prevention, but including the dementia. The geriatric syndrome is much more concern for me. So how to prevent the geriatric syndromes, including the falls, incontinence, and dementia, and also the osteoporosis, etc. Such a combination of various types of exercise is much better. Yes, I think so. So at least in today's situation in Japan, we have to use much more education for such a program giver. We need much more educations. How wonderful for such a package of the exercise is much more effective for the prevention of geriatrics. And first question is, I forget. I'm just a risk of resistance. Okay, all right. Yes, we have just an aerobic exercise only. I do not know such resistance exercises. Which one is much more effective for the prevention of the decline of the community function among the elderly people? But at least we choose the aerobic exercise only because we had a 1 year intervention and such a resistance exercise is much more, burden for the participants, I think. So we just choose only aerobic exercise. Okay. But I don't know which one is much more effective.
Studies show that if the participant they have a below average neuromuscular function, and then after drinking cocoa for a month, and their performance, at least their neuromuscular functions improve, and also on one of the cognitive tasks. So maybe we don't really need exercise, we just need to drink cocoa. I don't know what's your take on that. What do you think they're also tackling the same issue? Because you also mentioned that exercise improve vascular function, and maybe it's doing the same thing. I don't know if you have any comments.
I think your opinion or the general sense is actually all right, exactly. Because the higher risk people have higher effectiveness for the interventions. So lower cardiovascular function people, if you have intervention to the much lower cardiovascular function, then the effects of such an intervention much bigger. So intervention method is, any type, but the effectiveness seems to be much better in a lower function.
如果大家要去考察一个比较适合观察老人的情况，因为他们那个地方是很好的，他们那边有老人医院、老人研究中心，它有一个很棒的一个老人的一个，不是叫老人，就是一个很好的一个公园。所以我们昨天跟他讨论说，其实环境很重要。如果我们创造一个适合老人活动的环境，就是适合所有人活动的环境。那就是说，所以我们不是叫做老人社区，就是应该是说，通用设计的这个友善设计。我猜我会台湾
Next meeting, are we?
所以明年他办会议的话，